Welcome to channel AMEC, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about migrating to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to our channel and turn a little bell on the side, so once we have all the updates and news, you'll be the first one of getting all the insight. Now in this video, we would like to take a little bit of discussions since I think 2 or 3 videos ago from my posts, I was talking about whether or not you should choose Northern Territory or Tasmania for the upcoming migration pathway. Now in this video, we would like to discuss whether or not choosing Sydney or Melbourne as a study destination, would that be favorable for the upcoming migration pathways. Obviously, Sydney and Melbourne has been the most popular cities of Australia for probably centuries, and everybody will know about it. You ask anyone around the globe, anyone will know Sydney, Opera House and Melbourne. Okay, and obviously other cities are coming up, but not as favorable or renowned as Sydney or Melbourne. However, I'm like to take you back in the time, about 2 or 3 years ago. Let's have a look what happened then. Okay, now this I'm gonna take you into a couple 4 news articles which were published back in 2018, and let's have a look, because that was pre-pandemic. Remember back to those days, there's no requirement to wear masks, and there's no problem of gathering, no social distancing required. Remember back in the old days. Now 2018 October, this is coming from Reuters. Australia aims to curb influx of new migrants to big cities. So you might know what had happened about 2 years ago. The Prime Minister Scott Morrison and his team actually decreased the annual quota of immigration migrants intake from 180,000 down to 160,000, and this is what happened. So back in the old days in 2018, everybody were talking about there were too many migrants and our big cities had been becoming too congested. Look at this, they're looking to ease urban congestions. Now, question back to you. If you're in Sydney or Melbourne, are you still getting congestions every day, or has it been eased after pandemic? Maybe you might like to put the comment as an answer down below. Okay, so that was back then. It was all talking about getting less and less migrants into Australia, and that's where you start to see your EOI, expression of interest for skilled migrant, to jacked up from 60 point to 65 to 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 100. Now back in those days, EOI 100 points, that's like crazy. You're talking about nonsense, going to Mars or something. But now it seems to be your norm. Okay, now next news. Again, Alan Tudge was the immigration minister back then. So the Morrison government plans to improve new visa condition, forcing migrants to live outside Sydney and Melbourne. So that was the news back then. If you look at it, and the next one we're looking at this, it's all similar. So what I'm trying to do here is to show you what happened. If we know more about the history in the past, and we will know more about what will happen and project and have a better plan. So Australia seeks to settle migrants outside major cities. Now this major city they were talking about including Brisbane as well. So Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane. But today we're predominantly talking about Sydney and Melbourne, because Brisbane surrounded area like Sunshine Coast and Gold Coast, they all categorized as regional. So Brisbane is still very favorable compared to Sydney or Melbourne. If you want to go regional New South Wales and regional Victoria, Wow, you better talk to a lot of people who have been there. Yes, they found jobs, but it's not that easy. It is not that easy. Okay, again, this is back in October 2018. We're talking about getting migrants to the smaller cities, preferably Adelaide. I think that's where they wanted to go for. So that was that was the big topic back in 2018, and then last month at the least. Let me just shrink this a little bit. Now you see that it's immigration topic there. I'm not too sure why it breaks into two. So Morrison consider ideas to push international student migrants to smaller cities. Now we're in 2021. This is already the trend of what we already been in for several months or year already. The reason I'm taking you guys to check this out is basically to show that let's chat and talk about and discuss about whether or not going to Sydney or Melbourne still be a preferable places or city for the purpose of migration, right? That's the most query topic and comment and question I receive. So obviously Sydney and Melbourne, they covered most of the best education and university of Australia. Now I'm not talking about ACT, the Australian National University, but a lot of good educations are actually located in Sydney and Melbourne. So if you've been selecting and picking and choosing Sydney and Melbourne for your universities, now unfortunately there's not much benefit for you after you graduated, and then obviously seeking for skill migrations. Now I'm not saying there's no opportunity. There are if you are bright enough, okay, and you can ensure that you get scores of IELTS 8 proficient, and you're confident enough. Once you graduated, you'll be able to be offered with a job in Australia, in Sydney and Melbourne. Then obviously the opportunity for you to gain permanent residency or state nomination is high, okay? But if you're not those kind of people at the top of the pyramid, academic performance, then really you should really consider going into regional cities, for example, Adelaide, Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast, Perth, or perhaps choosing Northern Territory or Tasmania, which I don't really prefer. You may gain those points, but the employment opportunity there, it's just very, very low. I'm not saying you cannot get it, but it's just not there, not much there. So there's the two, one Northern Territory in Tasmania is at the very far end, and the other end is Sydney and Melbourne. So I think for the vast majority of migrants, my prefer and advice will be picking at those cities in the middle. Okay, for example, Gold Coast, Perth, Adelaide, Sunshine Coast, and some people will pick Brisbane, but a lot of Brisbane's international courses had shifted to Sunshine Coast and Gold Coast for the purpose of gaining that extra point for your skill migration. What are your thoughts? Do you think Sydney and Melbourne will still be preferred and very good to go, or perhaps taking another route, although you probably won't be picking the top tiered universities like university in Sydney and university in Melbourne? However, there are still very good university, for example, University of Western Australia in Perth, University of Adelaide, University of South Australia, and obviously Bond University, Griffith University down the Gold Coast. I think those one will still be very good for choice to make. Anyway, let me know what you think. Do you think Sydney and Melbourne still worth a try? Leave a comment down below. Thank you, and I'll see you next video. Goodbye.